Twitter handle, Infomotion's Twitter handle, and I believe the hashtag for the week for CMH Startup Week. So in case you're following along. So I guess before I get started, kind of jumping into everything, kind of high level, I think the description was pretty vague on what this conversation was going to be about. So I tried to take what it was on the site, why you guys might have been interested, and try to find this one focal point. And it really is showing how our first hardware application became the perfect reference architecture to showcase our Infomotion's technology to the world. And also it pays our bills, which is nice. So the three main things I'm going to talk with you guys about is the 9450 Smart Sensor Basketball, which some of you have already seen here to my right, which is charging on a wireless charging pad. The secret sauce of Infomotion technology. So what's powering the basketball, and why is it so special, and why has it garnered all the awards that it has? And third, Infomotion in its current state, how we're going to move forward and disrupt the market. So to give you a little bit of background on myself, I graduated from the Ohio State University with a Bachelor of Science in Design right up the road here. I specialize in visual communication. I started and grew a small boutique UX design agency for about 3 years here in Columbus. I was at a similar place with Nils, who owns the Perch, right here in the Short North for 3 years. And Infomotion became a client back in 2012. Long story short, I joined Infomotion in January 2014 as the Experience and Creative Director. And I'm from Columbus. I grew up here, and I currently live in Clintonville. So my role at Infomotion, being a startup, we wear a lot of hats. As some of you might know, if you guys have been at small companies or startups, I do all the end-to-end user experience. I run our e-commerce site for the basketball. I do the brand strategy for both the parent company Infomotion as well as the Smart Basketball 9450. I'm involved with a lot of product development, the digital marketing, value prop communication with investor decks or acquisition decks, licensing decks, as well as a little bit of business development. So Infomotion, just to put it in a nutshell, and we'll get into more of our technology in a little bit, but our main mission is to improve the motion of our lives through superior information with a vision to create the most advanced motion recognition technologies and make them available to pretty much anybody in the world at a cost that they can afford. So our founder, Mike Crowley, founder and CEO, kind of founded the company because he saw a lot of this technology, especially in sports and fitness, that costs so much money. You had to go to universities to measure all these complex motions. You had to put certain things on your body to measure all these motions. So he wanted to take that, refine it, and make it available to the average consumer. And that's where he started with the 9450 Smart Sensor Basketball. And so our company was founded around this piece of hardware and it's powered by our technology at Infomotion. So this is the ball. We started developing the Bluetooth Smart Sensor Basketball in, I want to say, middle of 2012, and rolled it out at the end of 2013. Holiday 2013 is when we launched it. We launched it in the Apple Store, so it was about an 18-month dev cycle. At the end, we can kind of talk about a little bit more about the production cycle if any of you are interested. So we launched this in 2013, and a lot of people ask, what does it do? And in a nutshell, it's the only connected smart basketball for iOS and Android that improves players' shooting and ball handling skills fast. And it really is for any player. So we have NBA players that are using this. We have college programs that use this basketball, and we have 7-year-olds that use this basketball for training purposes. So a lot of people will ask, what exactly, do they use it in the game? Is it a training tool? Is it, what exactly benefit does it do? And Wall Street Journal said it best when it said it's a digital coach. They even did a big article on it when we launched, and created this graphic that was pretty spot on. So we have a lot of coaches that use it for their players because it gives them objective feedback, and they can coach their players on things they can't see. But also they send their players home, and the players use it when the coach is not there. So what exactly does it measure? The 9450 Smart Basketball measures shooting and ball handling drills. So it can measure anything from shot speed, shot backspin, dribble speed, dribble power, and dribble control. So a plethora of metrics and data get collected by the ball. They get put to the app. So I want to touch on a few key user experiences with the basketball and the app. You know, the basketball is something that everybody sees every day, but making it smart is a whole new game. So the first thing is gamification. Make the basketball training fun. So it's almost like the user doesn't feel like they're training basketball. So I will actually want to give an example before we go any farther and show the ball in action, just so you guys can get a sense of a small piece of how it's used. I get 2 volunteers that want to test out the dribbling. Anybody want it?
I'll volunteer.
You won't get too sweaty.
All right, I will too.
Let's see it. That's exactly what it's going to do. Alright, so this, you're going to see me just dribble it 4 times. It automatically connects to the app, just like that via Bluetooth. And now let me give you a little bit of context here. So this part of the app is the gamification of head-to-head. So in this case, we have 2 players. What's her name? Terrence and Jax. So we have Terrence and Jax, and we are going to test their dominant hand speed. So basically, just their dominant hand and just dribbling. See how many dribbles you can get in 20 seconds. Okay. But what we're also going to measure is a variable of dribble power, and that will give you bonus points. So let's say both of you get 40 dribbles in the 20 seconds. The dribble power is going to determine the winner. So give it to you first, and the clock is going to start immediately upon dribbling. So the clock will start on you. All right. So you can see it's measuring each one of these bounces in real time. So the ball's collecting all the data, processing it, and communicating back to the app in real time. You can see the dribble power on the left is a little weak. There you go. See? So the ball is recognizing power. There it is. So we got a dribble bonus score of 4, and so total score of 74, which is
right.
great. So let's see if Jax can beat it here. So on your dribble, we will start counting.
Watch the ball, keep those eyes up.
There we go. Keep going. 10 seconds left.
Almost done, push it to the end. Push it, you're almost there. Almost done, don't slow down, keep it moving.
So she got, let's say she got 2. 75, 1 point. So right there you saw the dribble power make a difference. So that's just an example of a ball handling gamification. Thank you guys. That was awesome. Took a lot of effort there. Hopefully you guys can take showers at your workplace. All right, let's change it back. So you saw the gamification aspect and how it can be fun, it can be engaging, and how players don't even realize they're getting better at training and getting all this feedback that they are with the app. Let me get back here. Perfect. Okay, so gamification as the user experience. The second thing is quality of motion, which we saw there. So a big thing with the smart basketball and why it's got a lot of attention is because it's not just measuring, it wasn't just measuring dribbles there. It doesn't just measure shots. It's going to measure the quality of those shots. So in this case, they're measuring the dribble power. So not just dribble, but how powerful were those dribbles. With shot arc, not just a shot, but was your shot arc flat? Was it too high? So it's going to give you feedback on not just your activity, but the quality of your motion. And the feedback that it gives you is instant. You guys saw there, the dribbles were counted in real time. So it's this complex motion being collected by the ball and feeding it to the app in real time, displaying it. You heard the audio feedback from the digital coach. The audio feedback is also really compelling when you're shooting because you don't want to be looking at a screen after every shot. So we have a lot of people set up Bluetooth speakers or put the app in their pocket with headphones. So the audio is a key thing. And all this complex motion is being measured in milliseconds. So that takes you to how we're feeding it to them, and I just touched on the audio and visual feedback. And I really think this audio feedback, as we continue to move forward with a lot of these connected devices, and as they get more real time with correcting, your habits, you're going to want to know in real time what you should be doing differently, what you should be changing, instead of after the fact, after your workout, going and looking at your stats. You're getting it in real time, and you're able to adjust on the fly and correct it in real time. So it makes the data meaningful, and it gives you context on what you're doing. So let me show you a quick video that kind of shows a shooting, the shooting experience as far as getting audio feedback. You'll hear the coach here. So it says the metric, and he gives you a recommendation based on your number.
Keep it on the fingertips, no palm.
So you just saw there, like I said, the digital coach is giving you actionable feedback, and something you can improve your next shot with, your next, dribbling sequence with. So, we like to say players should be putting up, a lot of times coaches say, get up 100 shots. Well, we say, don't just get up 100 shots, get up 100 quality shots. So you know when your shot is good and your shot is bad, and we're going to tell you. So I wouldn't be doing it justice if I didn't talk about the kind of physical nature of the ball and how we built the technology into it. The ball, I probably get this question asked the most, is it regulation, weight, size, spin? Can I go use this and not know the difference? And the answer is absolutely yes. So we designed it, counterbalanced it and everything, that it's regulation, weight, size, spin, all the above. We wanted to make it so that it wouldn't impact your game. It's not like you have to wear something. It feels so natural when you're using it. So it is regulation, weight, size, and spin. Like I told you before, it charges wirelessly on the wireless charging pad. So we use the new kind of wireless charging capability, the Qi charging pad. It's actually, I think, going to be compatible with the new Apple Watch. It is wirelessly charged as well. So I'm sure it's going to work with our charging pad, especially as phones and things like that. Those are becoming a lot more popular. And the last thing is firmware upgrades are pushed through the app. So we also get the question, do I have to buy a new ball when you guys roll out features, right? And the answer is no. We push, updates, enhancements, algorithm changes right through the app to the ball. So you get a new app download that has a new change, a firmware change, and you connect the ball, and it does a firmware upgrade within a couple minutes. The last kind of key thing, user experience, is a contextual accessory. So we developed the Smart Net about a year after we launched, and this net is an accessory that gives more context to the ball, more context to the data that the ball gives. So basically, when you shoot on a Smart Net, it's going to tell you if you made or missed the basket. So what it is it's basically, it looks and feels like a normal net, just like the ball, but it has magnets in it, right? So it uses the ball's magnetometer, gives the ball more algorithms to think through and process and analyze, and it will tell you if you made or missed your shot. So this is kind of the missing puzzle piece in the shooting experience, where you get your shot arc, you get your shot speed, you get your shot backspin, but now you can compare it with whether you made or missed it. So it really kind of completes the picture from the shooting element. But from a technology side, it's this kind of contextual accessory, contextual piece that just makes smart basketball smart. And like I talked about, we pushed that through firmware upgrade when we launched it. So no need to buy a new ball to make it smarter. So what has all this done? This has got us a lot of exposure. It is definitely different. We've had the guys from part of the interruption, from ESPN part of the interruption, request ball last year during the NBA playoffs, and March Madness. We had Rick Fox, who's an ex-NBA player, won championships with the LA Lakers. We had Marcus Stewart. I have no idea why she has it, but we got a picture of her with the ball, so that was awesome for PR and marketing. And we also have had Mike Conley, who's an NBA point guard actually in the playoffs. Just got injured, but played for Ohio State, so you guys might recognize the name. But we have a good relationship with Mike, and we showed him the ball for the first time. And let me give you just his kind of reaction to the real-time nature. So he's watching what you guys just saw there. Brayden here is an ex-Ohio State player as well, so he's putting down her nose, trying to get as many as he can. Mike Conley's there in the middle, and he's seeing it for the first time and just floored by it. So that's Mike. And he's since used it. He's worked a lot on his free throws. Has given us great feedback, and uses it a lot. So all of this, tech inside this ball has led to a lot of people using it and a lot of recognition, but also has led to a lot of awards. So we picked up CES Best of Innovation this past year for mobile apps and software. We were recognized as Time Magazine Top 25 Invention of the Year. Popular Science named us Best of What's New. 2 years ago, we got 3 honorees at CES, which is the first time at CES that has ever happened for 3 different categories, all for the ball. And also Bluetooth is recognized with the Bluetooth Breakthrough Award. What it's also led to is a lot of good partnerships with some big companies. So we've worked closely with Google, with Apple, Texas Instruments, TI, and Bluetooth on various different projects because they've recognized how unique the technology is inside of basketball. So with Google, we did a Google Glassdoor app. We're featured at Google I/O. We launched in Apple stores, and they helped us with the initial app release, getting that and pushing forward. TI has a lot of our internal components on our chips, and Bluetooth, obviously, we use Bluetooth. So these are really good partners and some nice ones to have. So to really sum it up, Fast Company kind of summed it up as 9450's ability to quickly alter a stubborn habit shows that whether it's missing a free throw or driving too fast, it's what makes embedded and wearable technology worthy of being the next big thing. And I know wearables are just getting hotter and hotter, especially with the Apple Watch release. But the whole key to this, I think, quote, is the ability to quickly alter stubborn habits. It's something that our ball does that a lot of these other activity things don't do. So that leads us to our secret sauce. So what is it that makes Infomotion so unique? Why have we garnered all these awards for our software and technology? Well, we have 4 kind of key attributes that we like to tout at Infomotion. The first is quality of motion. So I know I touched on this, not just measuring activity, not just measuring shots, but measuring the quality of those shots. The second one is accuracy, is loyalty. So I talked about, when we were at CES, there were rows and rows of these activity trackers that Fitbits, what else, Jawbones, all these things that count your activity steps. And what we found, people would come up to our booth and be like, yeah, I flew in from New York to Las Vegas, and my activity tracker told me I took 200 steps, and I was on a plane all day. So this whole idea of being accurate, so this whole accuracy is loyalty. All of Infomotion's products moving forward, and especially with the smart basketball, is accurate. We like to be in the moment. Obviously, you saw how engaging the head-to-head competition was because it's in the moment. You're getting real-time feedback. And it's future flexible, so we can be flexible with any wearable, and not just inside of basketball, but we can, and I'll touch on that later, but also on any platform. So we like to sum it up. Measuring motion isn't difficult, but measuring it accurately is. But measuring the complex motion accurately and continuously is what the true innovation is. So the whole continuous motion. And I think this infographic sums it up well. When people ask me, how are you guys different than any of this other technology? So I like to use the Adidas Smart Soccer Ball, right? I don't know if any of you have heard of that. I like to compare it because that's the closest thing to a smart basketball that we have. So if you think about it like this, our smart basketball, which is represented on the left. When a user bounces it, shoots it, user activity is collecting all this raw data, which is represented by puzzle pieces right here, right? So the ball is collecting all the raw data from the user's action on the ball. And where we're different is we process all of the raw data inside the basketball on the hardware itself. So it's continuously processing these puzzle pieces, putting together the things that matter, parsing them out, putting together the puzzle, and sending that to the app. So what this does is allows us to do things in real time, allows us to connect to any device, no matter the processing path. Where on the right here, we have the Adidas soccer ball. And for instance, when you pick that soccer ball, again, raw data is being collected, but the raw data is being collected for the whole period of time that the ball is in motion, and it's kind of dark. It's just doing collecting. And then when the ball stops, it decides to dump that to the phone, which takes a while. So whenever you pick the ball, the phone will do loading, processing. And that's because all the raw data is being dumped to the phone instead to handle the processing. So what this means is we don't rely on the phone's processing power to process the data. And what it also means is for every one event that smart soccer ball does, our ball can be handling 1,000. So as you saw, the dribbles, it is milliseconds that is giving the phone feedback. So I kind of touched on this, but why is this important? It maintains consistent app performance and experiences. So there's very little latency, as you saw there, even when it's connected to an HDMI cable, it's giving you real-time feedback. And it's not causing the app to slow down if other things are processing on the phone. So it uses very little processing power, which kind of relates to low power, which means battery consumption. And this is, especially when we move into more smaller devices that have lower battery power and things like that, this is huge. So since it's processed inside the ball, it's not using that processing power from the device to process it. Thirdly, long-range capability. So I can take this ball 100 yards away, and assuming there's no concrete walls in the way, it can go 100 yards and connect to my phone and still give that feedback in real time. Where the Adidas ball, since it's dumping raw data, it needs to be closer. If you think of it, raw data is so much bigger than the small data packets that get calculated inside the ball and sent to the phone. So it's sleeker, quicker, where that one, raw data takes up a lot more space and needs to be a lot closer. And lastly, and I think this is actually most important for Infomotion moving forward, this makes it really easy for app developers to develop these apps. App developers don't need to know anything about motion algorithms because basically we have built APIs for the app developers to build the app against. So since the phone is not doing the processing and is not collecting the data, the app developers don't even need to worry about what do I do with this raw data. So it makes it really I don't know if we have any app developers in here, but if you're just an average iPhone or iOS or Android app developer, you could develop apps easily for the basketball and not need to know anything about complex motion. So to sum it up, the continuous data creates the experience. So we have a lot of users that, and people when we go out to test. Come on in, are you here for it? Jump right in. Users will say, don't make me stop, keep up with any speed of my motion. And this goes back to whether you're running, whether you're jump roping, you're doing CrossFit, and you're doing something wrong, or you're doing something that might cause injury. You want to know now, and you want to be able to fix it on the fly. So as a startup, we don't have all the time and money in the world, but what we do have is concepts. So this short video is showing the simple concept of how our technology can be applied with the ball. What makes it so unique because of all those things I just told you, because all the sensor data is being processed on the ball, we're able to do real-time communication via the cloud. So this was an example we were working with Google Get on just a concept on what it could be. So Winston here is dribbling, at the gym. I have him down here. And his coach might be at home. And the minute Winston opens the app, the coach might get a notification on his phone, see that Winston's dribbling in real time, being able to give that real-time intervention if it's needed. So obviously this is just one example. You know, you can do this with shooting, but you can also think of it from a, you know, more than just sports. You know, what else could we do with this? And I give the example a lot of physical therapy. Say the doctor just gave you a physical therapy assignment for your knee, and he says, "I'll see you in a week." And you go off and you start doing this wrong. And without technology like this, you do it wrong for a week, you come back and say you were doing it wrong the whole week, or you just lost a week of recovery. So this kind of real-time intervention can be applied to almost anything because of our technology. So to kind of piggyback off of that, it can be applied to more than just inflatables and embeddables like it is in the ball and in the smart, you know, soccer ball. We could put this in wearables. We could put it on attachables. And like I said before, we're adaptable with any platform. So because all the process is done on the sensors, on the chips, we don't rely on the processing power of the device. So that's why we were able to connect to Google Glass so easily, because it doesn't have much processing power, but it doesn't need it. We're able to connect to, you know, hearables that I think are going to be, you know, big in the future, smart hearables. So all these different things were future flexible. Another concept that we have is the connected gym. So, you know, again, utilizing embeddables, wearables, attachables in a gym. Somebody can be monitoring gym. You can have gym competitions. You could have Ohio State's football team, their whole gym be smart and have their trainer manage it. Again, injury prevention, all these different things. So, at the end of the day, Infomotion technology allows for meaningful and engaging user experiences. So, where do we go from here? And I'll touch on this a little bit. So, we went to CES in this past year and went as Infomotion, brought our ball, but wanted to be more than the basketball company. So we really wanted to tout our technology, how it's different. We got we got a lot of feedback, and kind of two market needs kind of stood out to us. We had anywhere from Adidas talking to us to Honda to Toyota to Bosch. So all these kind of different situations kind of came out of the woodwork and presented these market opportunities that we think we can fill. So the first one was smartwatches fall short on features and need more compelling ones to drive product adoption. So at the end of the day, steps, heart rate, and calories are no longer enough. So what does this mean? Where can we fill the gap? So just like the smart basketball, on the smartwatch, so I'm wearing an LG smartwatch here. If we were to build a motion app today, we'd have to build it on the app layer, right? And call down and get the sensor data from the kernel. So this is the software stack. And what that does is it increases, you know, it increases the load, which causes less battery life, and it's late, you know, it's slow, and all these different things because the call is having to go through all these different layers. Where we would come in and power your smartwatch by Infomotion, we would get at their hardware level, create, you know, basically motion libraries. So I give the example of, well, let me get it. So partner with OEMs, make motion app dev easy. So like what I talked about. So we create these libraries for for app developers that don't need to know anything about motion. And I give the example of putting. So we could create a putting motion for a smartwatch. An app developer could take that putting motion and make a kid's putt-putt game with it, or they can make a PGA, you know, top-of-line, top golfer for this app, using that same motion from that motion library, and do all this by just pulling the API that we provide. You know, whether LG wanted to do a special fitness watch. So that's where we could disrupt the market with OEMs and really sell them on increase your device adoption by basically open the floodgate for app developers to develop, rather than having maybe 10 to 15 companies across the world only know how to develop with raw sensor data. The second one was the large need for Internet of Things complex motion solutions, not only in fitness and sports, but in the enterprise level in life. So, you know, I said we had car companies, we had Bosch come up to us. So we're exploring these opportunities with top fitness brands, you know, like a Nike or like Adidas, you know, automotive companies, all these other enterprise levels that are starting to find the need for complex motion in real time. So this real-time intervention. And they're coming to us, and they need help because they can't find anybody else to do it. And it's really our firmware that makes us special. So what this does is it will provide a licensing deal. We can drive our just technology use cases, and eventually get to the OEMs, like I talked about in that solution number one. So going back to that original question, why is the 9450 Smart Basketball the perfect hardware to show off our technology? You know, a lot of people, they started their light bulb, you know, was going off when they started to see this at CES on what it could do, and they started thinking, okay, what more could this do? As you know, you guys are starting to kind of, oh, okay, it's more than just a basketball, right? Fits into any form factor. If we could do it in a basketball, we could do it in virtually anything. The beating that a basketball takes is you know, unlike anything else. So if it works inside of a basketball, it can work in anything. Measures the most complex motions in real time. I hit on this a lot, and this is really a big thing for us. Basketball is the perfect example. There are so many different motions in the sport of basketball, whether it's dribbling or shooting. So we were able to show with the basketball that we're able to do all of this. Again, low power, no latency, and no riding in the ball. It's the first and only of its kind. You know, we were at CES, and I said we saw, I think, kind of 52 activity trackers, but there was only one smart basketball at CES. So it gets attention of a lot of people. You know, it's not every day that they see a basketball, you know, with the chip inside of it. Adaptable with any platform, easy app development. Google Glass was our big one that won a lot of awards because of the software and because of the capability for it to work seamlessly with the basketball. And at the end of the day, we made an everyday object freakishly smart. So everybody knows what a basketball is, you know, so they can relate with that. But then to see it do everything that it can do is kind of mind-blowing to a lot of people. So we made it freakishly smart. And at the end of the day, it generates business cash flow. So we got this product to be our, you know, a reference architecture to our technology. People can see it, and people can see how it could be more than just basketball, more than just sports, and be applied to the fitness level, to enterprise level, educational, you name it, it can happen. So that's all I got for you. I think we got about 10 minutes left. We can do questions. You know, I know I touched on a lot of the tech, but I'd love to hear if there's any questions about the startup, you know, problems, marketing, the production timeline. You know, I've been with the company, close with the company for a while, so I can try to do my best to answer any questions.
What is the name 9450?
Sure, no, that's one we get a lot, and I wish I was there to help with the naming process because a lot of people confuse it. Well, if you're 90, 20, 52, 72, it's the dimensions of a basketball court. It's 94 feet by 50.
Okay.
So it's the standard dimensions of a basketball court.
So you do it for tennis court?
Yeah, I would probably shy away.
Tennis balls and footballs.
So yeah, I mean that's a question we get a lot. Is I think we're going more towards the partnering route and really licensing the software and you know more of the firmware. So you know we even had Adidas come to us and say, you know, we know your ball is a lot smarter than ours. Like we could use your help on the second generation of the Adidas ball. We had a really good conversation with the CEO of a China company, which is basically their sports ESPN over there. And we had a meeting with him recently, and he basically said, I'm meeting with you guys because in China, we like to, you know, take a lot of good ideas and, you know, take them to our basement and really replicate them because, you know, a lot of times it's really easy and people don't realize how easy it is to do things. And he said, we took your ball, and I asked around in my large network, and not one person said they could replicate this in less than 2 years, and that wasn't even a guarantee. So he's like, that's why I'm here, is because this technology is so advanced. So, you know, we see ourselves either, you know, licensing the ball, you know, partnering with these big OEM companies, enterprise companies, or top sports brands, and work with them and leverage their brands and
Yeah, the API you talked about for app development, is that an open API for a variety of languages? Is it language specific, do you know?
No, it's not. It's open for all languages. Now, we don't have it open right now for the ball to the public, but, you know, ideally, you know, we connected the ball to Google Glass, iOS, Android. We can really connect it to really any operating system because it is, we do all the processing inside the sensors on the ball.
Do you know if they're interested, because you emphasized the interest in pursuing licensing and partnerships with a lot of equipment manufacturers. Is there any interest in doing some partnership with more software development needs?
You mean a use case?
Essentially applying, so the equipment itself would be very basic. Wouldn't even need, I mean, like, not necessarily particular sports equipment, but to bringing the data, basically kind of like a smart gem. You talked
Yeah.
about most of the data, or most of the development is on the software in terms of analytics and making a platform available for users.
Right.
So the actual physical device is relatively straightforward and doesn't need much other than the actual data system.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah. And we're starting to work with a couple automotive companies with their, production lines, right? Ergonomics and training, because we can measure this repetitive motion in real time, correct it in real time. So we really see this enterprise, could be the gateway to really getting this technology mainstream, to get that, mainstream licensing deal, with these new smartwatch manufacturers. So I think people are starting to see, there's a need for it. That quality of motion, not just counting the activity, but the quality is something that we, heard positive things about over and over at CES this past year. Yeah.
How do you go from saying like, oh, the ball's shooting at whatever arc to saying that you need to bend your knees more?
Yeah, so basically what we do, and that's a great question, because when they first rolled this out before I got involved, they had all this data from the ball, and it's what do we do with it, and how do we make it actionable, how do we make it easy to understand in an app UI and via audio. So, with your question, so let's say you shot a mark, there's an ideal range for shot that gives you the optimal chance to make the basket with the most efficient power from your body. That's between 42 and 48 degrees. So we know when somebody shoots lower arc, so let's say they shot at 36 degrees, that means most of the time they're not using enough legs. So basically we basically build logic in the app for different kind of ranges. And we put logic in to tips and forms, for each range of motion. So, when it's great, it's going to tell you it's great. When you're shooting too flat, it's going to tell you to use more legs. It's going to tell you to get that elbow up. When you're too high, it's going to give you that, actionable feedback so that you can fix the next shot. So, it's not after a whole workout, but it's after each shot that you're able to tell, what to fix. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How long does the charge last?
The charge lasts 8 hours. Yeah, we
like
really.
constant playtime?
What's that?
Of constant playtime?
Of constant playtime. It turns off automatically after 5 minutes of not using it. And that's actually the experience we really worked out, and we're really happy with it. It's so easy to connect. It sleeps on its own. It 4 bounces to wake it up, and the battery life is great. And again, it charges wirelessly, and it takes about maybe 2 to 3 hours for a full charge. So,
Do you know anything about the power requirements, like internally voltage or?
no, I don't. I know we use just kind of a standard lithium-ion battery. So, just like the cell phone, the more you use it, obviously the life of it's going to go down, but you're going to be able to use it. The ball itself will wear out before you wear out the technology.
Right.
And it's something we're really proud of is how it's held up. We have 4.5-star reviews on Amazon. Over 50 reviews, which is actually from a small business. That does so much for our marketing, because where do you go when you want to buy a product that you've never heard before? Amazon, right? So we're selling on Amazon, and the reviews are great on Amazon, and the ball's really held up. Our failure rate is below 1%, which is unbelievable for the new technology that it is. So we're really happy with how we designed it from A to Z, and it's held up and stood the test of time. Any other questions?